On this Friday night, a flawed forecast.
I absolutely believe that the program is a sham.
A Global News investigation reveals a grossly underestimated wait list for help from Canada's vaccine injury support program. Aerial assault. A record number of drones and missiles pummel Kyiv as Russia rejects a bid for truce in Ukraine. Devastating and deadly flooding in Texas.
The House manager said, hey, y'all need to get out now.
The warning for residents as rising waters ravage riverfront communities. Plus, breaking barriers.
I hope people remember me as not only a great player, but also a great leader.
The Blue Jays' top prospect playing for a purpose bigger than baseball.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Tracy Tong.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin with our exclusive investigation into the federal government's vaccine injury support program. Government documents obtained by Global News reveal it severely underestimated the number of claims it would receive. The program was created during the pandemic to help provide financial relief in those rare cases where people were seriously and permanently injured by a vaccine. At the time, it was expected that dozens, possibly hundreds, would apply each year. But as Carolyn Jarvis reports, 4 years later, that number has skyrocketed.
I looked this morning, it still says I'm in the application phase.
Kayla Pollock has been waiting 3 years for her case to be assessed by the Vaccine Injury Support Program.
I haven't gotten even a message back saying we're looking at your file.
She is one of more than 1,700 injured people who are still in the queue.
I don't think they've even read my claim.
Kayla has a condition called transverse myelitis, a spinal cord disorder which has been documented after COVID vaccination.
I can't move my hand.
It was only days after her third shot the symptoms started. The searing pain followed a few weeks later.
From about here down, nothing moves and nothing works.
The Vaccine Injury Support Program, or VISP, is run by a private company called Oxaro. It bid on the lucrative government contract, promising speedy response times. But emails to the injured say, due to an unexpectedly high volume of claims, VISP will respond
quarterly.
The forecast for that volume of claims was flawed from the start. The Public Health Agency of Canada, which oversees the program, estimated an average of 40 claims a year, with the potential for more in the first few years. That estimate was bumped up to 400 valid claims a year in the contract with Oxaro, but it was still off. Today, more than 3,000 people have applied in less than 4 years. Only 219 have been approved.
I absolutely believe that the program is a sham.
Jasmine Dea is a personal injury lawyer whose clients are battling the program.
These people have not, in some cases, had an income for years, and they're still waiting on a decision.
Former Oxaro workers say the infrastructure in place was not equipped to handle the volume, and the company was building the program as they went.
That's better.
In the absence of any help from VISP, Kayla relies on donations and disability support from the Ontario government. And she had to give primary custody of her son to his dad, with whom she used to share parenting.
I lost my job, my son, my health. I lost everything. And I'm the one paying for all that.
In Kayla's dreams, she still walks. And then she wakes up to a fight that never ends.
It's been hell. It's been a nightmare.
In an emailed response, Oxaro says it has adapted the program, its processes, procedures, and staffing to face the challenges of receiving substantially more applications than originally planned. It says its timelines also depend on the nature and complexity of a claim, and it's working with the Public Health Agency of Canada so that everyone is treated fairly. Tracy?
Our Carolyn Jarvis reporting. Thank you. The Canadian Armed Forces has opened an investigation into allegations reservists took part in a private group on Facebook, posting racist, homophobic, and anti-Semitic content. Mercedes Stevenson joins us now from Ottawa. Mercedes, what more do you know?
Tracy, Army Commander Lieutenant General Michael Wright called the posts abhorrent, saying that he was disgusted by the content. Senior military brass say the posts in the group featured racist, misogynistic, homophobic, and anti-Semitic comments and images. Known as the Blue Hackle Mafia, the group was allegedly comprised of members of the Cameron Highlanders, an Ottawa-based reserve infantry unit. Wright ordered any military members in the group to leave immediately and warned that anyone engaging in such behavior should expect consequences. Military police say they opened a new investigation into the group on June 27th, just 2 days after the Army commander found out about the Blue Hackle Mafia. But it wasn't the first time the military police looked into the group. It was reported originally in December of 2024. But the head of the military police says the disciplinary investigation at the time was handed over from military police officers to the Highlanders' chain of command. There is no information about whether any charges were laid or if administrative or disciplinary action was taken.
Disappointment. I was extremely disappointed.
Lena Tamsito is a professor who has been studying Canadian military culture. She thought the military had made significant strides to address toxic culture and sexual misconduct.
I was at the camp of, they've made the changes, they've implemented all sorts of recommendations. Let's sit back and see the impact.
Now she has her doubts.
So maybe it's time to sort of step back, re-examine, and approach things in a different way, because it doesn't seem like it's getting through the entire organization.
Global News has learned the military recently decided not to renew funding to a research network dedicated to transforming military culture. Tracy?
Mercedes Stevenson in Ottawa for us. Thanks, Mercedes. Explosions rocked the city of Kyiv for more than 7 hours overnight as Russia launched a record missile and drone attack. At least one person was killed and 26 others injured. The bombardment came just hours after a call between Presidents Trump and Putin, which ended in disappointment, according to the U.S. president. Vincent McAviney reports.
Thursday night, Kyiv suffered what's been described as its heaviest ever bombardment since Russia's full-scale invasion. Russia launched some 539 drones, with 72 penetrating Ukraine's air defenses. Air raid sirens rang out for over 8 hours as wave after wave struck almost every district of the Ukrainian capital. Underground in metro stations and bunkers, people could only wait and wonder if their homes would survive. Emergency crews did their best to extinguish the fires. But come morning, the extent of the damage was clear. Russia's reckless targeting even hitting the power lines into the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, forcing an emergency shutdown of its 6 reactors. Even after more than 1,200 days of war, the length and intensity of the night's assault was traumatic. The drone had hit the second floor below us. Everything is covered in soot now. It's difficult to breathe there. We have packed some belongings and are going to the countryside. For Artem, all that was left of his family's home was a handful of photographs. This home where I grew up, my mother's house. This house has its history. The Russians took it and destroyed it. It is not just horrible. I want to take revenge. Ukraine did manage several successful return strikes on Russia, and President Volodymyr Zelensky posted on social media that he's discussed air defenses and joint production with the US on a call with President Donald Trump. This week, the US halted weapons shipments to Ukraine, and despite Trump's promise to bring peace when he took office, the war escalates without any willingness by Russia to stop. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
Well, today is Independence Day in the U.S., and President Donald Trump is celebrating by signing his so-called Big Beautiful Bill into law. Trump signed his divisive bill shortly after fighter jets and a stealth bomber flew over the White House for 4th of July festivities. The bill includes measures to fund Trump's immigration crackdown and make his 2017 tax cuts permanent. It also knocks millions of Americans off health insurance and reverses funding to fight climate change. In Central Texas, 4th of July festivities are on hold as deadly and catastrophic flooding consumes parts of the state. Evacuations and rescues are underway after torrential rain overnight caused a river to swell and overflow, inundating surrounding communities and campgrounds. More than a dozen people are known to have died, and many others are unaccounted for. Heidi Petracek reports on the devastating emergency.
The flooding started before sunrise, catching Texans off guard.
This came at night when people were asleep in bed.
I heard a banging on my door. It woke me up. And there was an officer there, and he said, "You have to go. We have to get out."
She says the officer went back out to find others.
And the cop was sitting there hollering out on the loudspeaker, all the residents in this area need to evacuate your homes.
Some didn't make it, caught in floodwaters when the river that runs through Kerr County breached its banks, flooding homes, roads, and an entire RV park in nearby Ingram.
Suffice it to say, this has been a very devastating and deadly flood.
Officials say at least 20 girls are missing from a Christian summer camp. Teams went in to rescue adults and children alike from the trees.
We're praying for all of those missing to be found alive.
The Guadalupe River starts near the town of Hunt and flows southeast to merge with the San Antonio River. It's reported the river gauge at Hunt, where the Guadalupe forks, rose 6.7 meters in just 2 hours. The city of Kerrville has declared a local state of disaster. Residents who fled their homes are taking shelter in churches and schools. Teams have conducted dozens of water rescues so far.
There are assets deployed across the county to help start the recovery process from this catastrophic flooding.
Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming. We have floods all the time. This is the most dangerous river valley in the United States.
The Texas Division of Emergency Management was on high alert Thursday, activating emergency resources and encouraging residents to monitor the forecast and have emergency plans. But no one expected this.
We had no reason to believe that this was going to be anything like what's happened here.
Please pray for our food.
Here, Independence Day events are canceled, and it will take time to recover. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
In Manitoba, 600 people living in the remote community of Lin Lake have been forced to leave for a second time this year as high winds and early summer heat fuel an already raging wildfire. The town is located in Manitoba's northwest, near the Saskatchewan border. Evacuees are being told to head to Brandon, which is about a 12-hour drive south. But several other wildfires between Lin Lake and Thompson could cut off that main road out. Residents only returned to their homes 2 weeks ago after being ordered out for nearly a month. AI in the workplace. Coming up, what implementing artificial intelligence means for the number of jobs in certain industries. As the use of artificial intelligence expands, there are concerns it will lead to job losses. But new data shows that's not always the case. Companies in some industries are actually adding people to the payroll after implementing AI. David Aiken breaks down the trends.
Oberland AgriScience opened this facility just last year. The firm manufactures protein from fly larvae for fertilizer and animal feed.
I started around a kitchen table and there were 2 of us, and now we have a staff of 50.
And on Friday, Oberland received a $250,000 loan from the federal government to incorporate an artificial intelligence tool into its manufacturing process. The company says it will boost production, improve efficiency, and improve the skills of its workforce.
We need workers who are skilled. We need skilled workforce. It doesn't really decrease our workforce, but it just changes what they're doing.
New data from Statistics Canada shows AI tools are being used at an ever-increasing pace by Canadian firms, and not always as a replacement for workers. For example, more than 12% of manufacturers surveyed by StatsCan increased employment after implementing an AI project. More than 10% of retail firms did the same, and 7% of firms in finance and insurance also hired after putting an AI tool to use. LED Roadway Lighting, a manufacturer, is getting a $2 million loan from Ottawa to develop an AI-powered streetlight controller and camera.
It's really about creating additional job opportunities. So using AI in our products, it makes us more competitive in the marketplace.
But in some other industries, implementing an AI project resulted in a smaller workforce. Nearly 20% of organizations in the healthcare sector said they needed fewer people at work after adopting an AI tool or product. Same with nearly 7% of firms in agriculture, forestry, and fishing, and nearly 6% in information and cultural industries.
The Carney government is keen to boost productivity through the use of artificial intelligence. It's the first government with a minister for AI. And the government believes that technology can be what it calls a transformative force for the economy. Tracy.
David Aiken in Ottawa for us. Thank you. Ahead, how President Trump's policies are changing the experience at America's national parks. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order raising the fees at national parks for foreign tourists. It's part of a revamp of the park system included in his big, beautiful bill. Eric Sorensen reports.
As the peak tourist season arrives, changes at U.S. national parks are beginning to show at scenic sites like Yosemite. Buyouts and early retirement have reportedly reduced staff, with proposed budget cuts from Washington expected to cut even more deeply into jobs like park rangers.
We need these people working here to keep these places the way they look.
They filter you through little areas so you're able to enjoy everything without actually destroying everything.
But other policies are also changing the experience for visitors. New signs ask visitors to report content deemed negative about past or living Americans. In recent years, parks have acknowledged the mistreatment of Indigenous and other people on these lands.
That might be the Southern Sierra Miwok, Buffalo Soldiers, the Chinese labor camps that help build the infrastructure here. And what does this mean if we lose these stories? It means we lose the richness of Yosemite history here.
The new signs suggest the emphasis should be on the beauty and grandeur of the parks. One former park ranger says it's an attempt by the Trump administration to censor the real history that predates the national parks.
The story of Yosemite is also one of genocide and removal, where the Mariposa Battalion came and slaughtered the Awanichi people. And I think that it's really important for us to understand whose land this is, not just that it's a national park, but it's also people's home.
A revamped historical narrative adds to the budget cuts from Washington that some fear could change the whole experience.
I think it's an American tradition to go camping, fishing, you name it, in a national park, go hiking. And how dare we mess with that?
The Trump administration says spending cuts will make government more efficient. The massive Republican spending bill that just passed the U.S. House and Senate would cut more than $1 billion from the National Park Service in 2026. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Pride behind the plate. Next, the Jays prospect with a growing South Asian fan base. Winnipeg's own Jonathan Toews donning a Jets jersey after signing a one-year deal with the club. The three-time Stanley Cup champion says it's a dream come true after believing he may never play again. For the past 5 years, he's been fighting long COVID and chronic immune response syndrome. Blue Jays slugger George Springer helped Toronto complete a 4-game sweep of the New York Yankees last night. The impressive series win pushes the Blue Jays into first place in the American League East, a position they haven't held this late in the season since 2016. Well, the MLB trade deadline at the end of the month means there's potential for some new additions to the Jays roster. And there's an exciting young prospect on their minor league affiliate team, the Vancouver Canadians. Neetu Garcha introduces us to a rising star, hoping to break barriers in professional baseball.
He's only 19, but Arjun Nimmala is already being called a future star by the publication Baseball America and was named the Northwest League's Player of the Week. And Nimmala recently played for something bigger than baseball, South Asian Heritage Night with the Vancouver Canadians.
How did that moment land for you personally?
Oh, it felt amazing. You know, I didn't know what to expect going into the night. It was insane because usually you don't see a lot of that, and just having them here meant a lot for me.
Number 18, Arjun Nimmala.
Raised in Florida, born to Indian parents, the Toronto Blue Jays' top prospect started off playing his father's sport of cricket.
Arjun, congratulations. Enjoy the night with your family and friends.
Yeah. All right.
Before joining the Jays affiliate in BC.
The people are great. It's really diverse. You know, I love everything about Vancouver.
Drafted out of high school on a $3 million contract, Nimmala entered the pros with sky-high expectations, and at first, he struggled.
Definitely not very good to start the season last year. Made some mental tweaks, hitting adjustments, and since then, you know, just forgot about that start and, you know, been good ever since. Personally, I don't want to put a timeline on when I will be in the majors.
He is one of the youngest players in all of high A. I certainly would expect by 2027 or 28, he will be a full-time big leaguer.
The level of maturity is something that people in the organization here speak about.
Nimmala is proud to be one of only a few professional players of Indian descent.
Arjun, nice to meet you. I heard you hit the farthest home run.
Yes, sir.
Nimmala was featured in a documentary following his rise and capturing the hopes of a growing South Asian fan base.
I'll see what you guys got.
None of it's been pressure. It's always just been motivation to keep getting better.
He dreams of making his major league debut in Toronto. He doesn't know when, but he knows what he wants to leave behind.
After I'm done playing baseball, I hope people remember me as not only a great player, but also like a great leader and a person who really did what they could for anyone.
Nimmala's journey to the major leagues is in its early stages, but for many, the significance of his presence today is already a home run. Neetu Garcha, Global News, Vancouver.
And that is Global National for this Friday. I'm Tracy Tong. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Nanaimo, BC, Long Harbour, Mount Arlington Heights, Newfoundland and Labrador, and a market in Pickering, Ontario. Thanks for watching. Anthony Robart will be at the anchor desk tomorrow, and I'll see you again on Sunday.